together can survive. Stop the bullshit, stop the lies. And now's the time to legalize. Tell me, brother, tell me true. What the hell we gonna do? Remember the days we saw purple haze. 1 and 1 is 3. Hey, hey, baby, what you do to me? We so happy, we alive. We together can survive. Mother Nature, heaven sent, don't belong to government. Hey there, sister, what's the plan? Do you really understand? Remember the days we saw purple haze. 1 and 1 is 3. Hey, hey, baby, what you do to me? We so happy, we alive. We together can survive. Stop the bullshit, stop the lies. Now's the time to legalize. Half the world up in smoke. Where on earth can we take a tug? Remember the days we saw purple haze. 1 and 1 is 3. Hey, hey, baby, what you do to me? Human nature full and free modifies reality. Open up, inner flower, peace and love, inner power. Open up, inner flower, peace and love, inner power. Remember the days we saw purple haze. 1 and 1 is 3. Hey, hey, baby, what you do to me?
So the doctor isn't technically prescribing a medicine, the patient's taking it with the doctor's advice. Now it's sort of the lawyers would call it distinction without a difference. But the distinction is regarded as important. What it involves really is taking a very detailed history from the patient, looking at any x-rays or records that he has to support his claims, and then deciding on an individual basis if the patient, under the terms of the law, could be helped by the use of cannabis.
And what you've been, I mean, what kind of conditions have you been finding cannabis helpful for?
Well, as you well know, cannabis, the hemp plant, provides so many functions, and in that spirit, so to speak, the so-called marijuana fraction, or the fraction that's used, that's ingested, addresses symptoms of more diseases than any other medication I'm aware of. It's incredible.
Can you give maybe a quick summary?
Well, at the top of the list is pain from almost every cause, especially chronic pain, such as suffered by people with arthritis or herniated discs, or very traumatic arthritis in various forms. Then there are a host of other less well understood diseases like fibromyalgia, which is also a painful condition afflicting mostly women. It's effective for menstrual cramps. It's particularly effective for migraine headaches. Beyond that, the most famous use at the time that the initiatives were being readied for passage was to control nausea and vomiting.
Oh, right.
That was the nausea and vomiting that was
cancer patients and
associated with two growing groups of patients, AIDS, which had never been seen before, and which was increasing dramatically in the 80s, and also people who were surviving cancer chemotherapy, and that was a population that was growing because we didn't have any effective chemotherapy until pretty much the early 70s. And as that became more effective, there were more and more people who had survived their cancer treatment. And also there was this much bigger population of patients who were being nauseated by medicines of one sort or another.
And I think in the past, I mean, one of the excuses, or not excuse, but an explanation why mainstream medicine has been reluctant to take more of a leadership role in medical marijuana is just our history of tobacco smoking, where tobacco was clearly, at least processed tobacco, is clearly related to cardiovascular and pulmonary disease, and for the most part the medical profession, well, initially we were in the advertisements for tobacco, and so it's kind of like, you know, for anything that's inhaled, I mean, that has been reinforced as a taboo, you know, so much over and over and over and over and over again, and now it's only in the last 2 or 3 years that technologically the advent of vaporizers, where, you know, where people can ingest marijuana with zero potential carcinogens, puts us in a new era.
It's actually a very complex issue. Try not to bore everybody too much addressing some of those complexities. So, first of all, the difference between tobacco smoke and marijuana. You mentioned processed tobacco, and I think that's significant because as closely as we can tell, even though the same vegetable material or similar vegetable material is burned in both cases, the smoke from cannabis is less carcinogenic than tobacco smoke. Another issue is that a marijuana smoker ingests far more, even a heavy marijuana smoker ingests far less of the smoke than a normal cigarette smoker.
All right.
Then there are other ways to ingest cannabis other than by smoking it. Although smoking right now, smoking or vaporization, and by the way, I agree completely with what you say about vaporization. Smoking and vaporization give exquisite control to the user. I mean, the more I talk to patients, the more I realize that they're able to control their effects of their medicine with remarkable precision.
You know, you just reminded me of something you said before we began talking here with the Louisville audience, and that was that from your experience as a physician working with patients with medical marijuana, that your impression was is that patients were relatively responsible in their use of marijuana, that the abuse of, I don't know what we would define, abuse of extremely excessive use of marijuana hadn't even been a problem. I mean, that's something that I mean, it's an argument. In fact, I mean, there's a whole gateway theory is based on, you know, it's the devil